guys, welcome back to another YouTube video here today, and we are coming at you with a new build. We are coming with a new Slippy Rafa build. So this is Slippy Rafa 2.0. So with this build, you gotta be a little bit careful when you throw the grenade. It does take your health when you throw the grenade, but you can't infinitely throw the grenade when you throw. You also can't get too close like that. You can't get too close like that either. So you gotta be careful. It allows you to throw when you throw the grenade. It allows you to throw it infinitely. You must be careful because it does take your health, which we will go over the skill tree. And there, we do get a lot of health back, but you still got to be careful. All right. So, anyways, so on to the skill tree. So we are starting with the more basic tree, and this is more of a we're using it for extra damage too. So, anyways, Sitzler is we're putting 5 points into here, which gives us 25% extra gun damage, which actually benefits our Slippy. We'll go over that in a little bit. And they were using 3 points in Juraga, which gives us active shield restoration on critical hits. And then Resilience gives us 2% damage reduction. And then we put 3 points in here for skill damage. And then we threw also do 2 points in here. So we had a little bit extra recharge rate and a little bit of recharge delay. So we can keep our shield full at least most of the possible. And then we did 5 into confetti. So you can get 40% more bonus ordnance damage. This deals bonus damage in its current gun element. So if your ordnance is doing cryo, whatever element your gun is currently equipped, that is the element it is gonna do. This is really good skill, and this is very much needed. And then we put 5 points into handshake deal, put 5 points into dial in, which this whenever Rafa deals a melee attack. His melee attacks gain critical chance, and the chance to remove. Whenever Rafa critical hits an enemy, all stacks are removed whenever Rafa critically hits an enemy. So your grenade doesn't count towards that. Your grenade is just going to keep spawning grenades and keep spawning grenades and keep spawning grenades. And then we're using Salader. Melee critical hits restore health. So health restoration of 30% of damage dealt, which is really, really nice because we need that because we are throwing grenades for health when they are on cooldown. So that is very much needed. And then we have 5 points into collaboration overdrive skill. Rafa deals bonus damage with all skills and ordnance. This is an element of his current gun, and while overdrive is active. So this gives us an 80% bonus damage with all skills and ordnances in the element of this current gun, while overdrive is active. Then we got booming business. Whenever Rafa critical hits an enemy, he gains a chance to spawn a free grenade. If Rafa has a grenade equipped, it spawns that grenade based on that. And then we are putting 5 points in the single area. Whenever Rafa deals ordnance damage, he also deals increased gun damage and melee damage. This affects stacks. This is a really, really, really good skill. This is very much needed. This gives you lots of damage, lots of extra damage, free damage really quickly. And then we put 3 points into El Diablo, a portion of all fire damage. Rafa also deals a bonus bonus fire damage, ordnance, 30% of damage dealt. So you get 30% of fire damage for ordnance of damage dealt for your ordnance, which is really, really nice for Bloom, Soul, and all the guys that are really weak to fire. Just give you a little bit more fire damage. Overdrive skill. While overdrive is active, may use grenades during ordnance cooldown at the cost of health. Every time you use a grenade, it costs more health. Until Rafa's grenade is fully cooled down. So the more you spam this, the more it's going to cost health. And then for specialization, we are using Bare Arms. We are using Groundbreaker, which is a must. You also need the full spectrum arsenal, which ordnance gets 50% increases the gun damage, which is our Slippy. And then you're going to want best defense for damage dealt for when your shield's full. And then for the weapons, we're using the mantra. This is mostly to get up. You can use this to boss a little bit too. It's not like anything like crazy wise, but you can use it to boss. It does do a little bit, but not a whole lot. This is more focused on Slippy spamming. So, but this is more here to get you up more than anything. So these are a must. And then we're using the large adrenalized recuperator, which just gives us hard hitter and melee damage and accelerator for 8 seconds. So we get action skill cooldown, which is really good for Bloom, and melee damage increases for when we're just bossing regular bosses. Now you could you could use the I have one if I don't have it on this character. Right, yeah, right here. So you could use this just when you're doing regular bosses, but for Bloom, I highly recommend something with action skill cooldown in it. And then we're using the atomic slipping nuke grenade damage is increased by 31%. Grenade damage radius is increased by 62%. Grenade cooldown duration is increased by 25%. And then we're using the hyper overdriver. Rafa deals increased ordnance damage and gun damage the faster he moves while overdrive is active. This bonus is doubled. And then we're using the triple siphon super soldier so that helps we can keep our shield full most of the time when we're doing damage. And then enhancement is kind of it's kind of a it's kind of just random right now. The enhancement really isn't important a whole lot to this build, but it does allow us to ricochet our I like is our guns to 20% critical shot, and it also gives them auto 40% ricochet chance. So to help us get up a little bit easier, but that's about it. Otherwise, the enhancement is more like here for grant. It's not these stats kind of dead. Anyway, real big fist. We're using 2 real big fists for we're getting an extra 50% extra melee damage. We're using 1 get throwing for an extra 35% grenade damage. And then we're using 1 God Killer, which is damage dealt to badass enemies, is increased by 10%. And then we're using 1 Action Fist, which is increasing melee damage by another 25%. Now, I hope you guys enjoy this build video. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Hope to see you guys in the next one. And I will see you guys in the next one.